Hey guys, we are doing our Q&A with Rob Jacobsen, and we're going to be talking about Warped and some other just general questions, and we're going to be asking each other these questions, so hopefully that is more entertaining than just talking. So here we go. One of the most common questions we got was, how did we meet?
Yeah, we met through Jacob actually. So Jacob and I were good friends in high school. We were drama geeks together in my dad's drama class actually. And as we got older, we stayed friends. We did some music stuff and some film stuff together. And when I moved to Edmonton for a little while, I met Annette, and we also became friends. She actually helped Jake and I with a few of our film projects. She once drew a tattoo on my back for a film, which was strange and pretty cool. And then eventually she asked me to work on Warped with her. So what made you want to co-author this series?
Well, long story short, I have way more story ideas than I actually have time to write. And since cloning myself is not an option yet, I thought it would be really fun to throw some of those ideas at Rob and see if he ran screaming or if he thought, hey, that's cool, let's team up. And that's basically how that happened.
Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of screaming, but I came around.
So what is our co-authoring process? Does one of us always write certain characters?
Yeah, well, this probably answers another question that I don't think anybody asks specifically, but I think is an important one to answer, which is, why have these books taken so long? And really, that is because I write on a typewriter, old school, and when I finish a chapter or section, I roll it up into a little roll, and I give it to a pigeon. I have several pigeon friends. I live up on the fourth floor, so they're around. And they fly it from Vancouver, where I live, over to Edmonton, where Annette lives, and deliver them to her. And then she reads them, makes changes, makes edits, writes her own section, flies them back. So yeah, it takes a while, and as the manuscript gets longer, paper gets heavier, we have to have multiple birds team up. We should really come up with a better system. There's got to be some technology out there that can help us with that, right?
I like birds. It's fun.
I like birds too, but to answer the actual question, we don't write separate characters. We both work on everything. So from the outlining to the planning to the actual writing, we both work on all of it. We both have our fingers kind of in everything, so there's no dividing it up or anything like that. So what's co-authoring like after writing solo for so long? Are you nervous about losing control? Is there anything you like better about co-authoring other than writing on your own? And who gets the final say?
The final say, that one is mine, generally speaking. I don't really ever feel like I lost control or had to give up control because, well, like I said, final say, I have that, and then everything is a team effort. Rob and I work on the whole book together. So there's no, if we're not agreeing on something, then we just work on it and discuss it until we do agree with what's going on. Co-authoring is lots of fun, and I've learned lots, and I think my favorite thing about it is getting to combine our different creative ideas and take directions that I wouldn't have gone if it had been just me. So Rob, what's it like to co-author with me?
Terrifying and delightful, often at the same time, simultaneously. It's been really good. I've learned a lot from you. There are a lot of things that I'm not awesome at writing, and those seem to be the things that you're like extra good at writing, so it really balances out. And I think it works the same on the flip side. Not that I would ever say that you are bad at writing anything, but
I think it's fair to say that I've learned some things and you've You've covered some of my weaker points as well. So, yeah, it's totally fair.
Yeah, like all those pop culture references that aren't really in your wheelhouse.
Yes, the pop culture references, none of those are mine. I can do Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. That's it. That's it.
All right, so where did the idea for Warped come from?
The idea for Warped came from Jacob, actually.
What?
Yes. You're shocked, right?
I don't believe that.
It was Jake's idea. He pitched it to me, and I was like, that's awesome. And then we both pitched it to you, and the rest is history. So.
And you guys actually had this idea before the first Guild Codex book was even published, right?
Yes. Yeah, we pitched it to you. It was just before, Three Mages came out. I had written the first drafts of Three Mages and Dark Arts at that point, but we hadn't published anything yet. So yeah, we've been working on this for a while.
Mm-hmm. Quite a while, because of the carrier pigeons.
Yes, carrier pigeons. Maybe it wasn't the best choice. Yeah.
Yeah, we should probably upgrade to eagles.
Eagles would be faster, but harder to train, I think.
Maybe.
So, will Warped have the same vibe as the other Guild Codex series?
Yes and no. They're definitely the same genre. They're in the same world. Obviously, you're writing it as well, so there's a lot of similarities, but it is a little bit different. Kind of like how Demonized is a little different from Spellbound. You got different narrators. You got different narrative voice in Warped with Kit, and also there's that different perspective that Kit and Leanna are MPD agents, which just gives their perspective on the whole world kind of a different vibe. So we get to see that side of it. So it's a little different, but I would say it's probably more similar than different. So can you tell us if there will be crossover with the other Guild Codex books and timeline?
Yes, there definitely will be. So Warping Minds, the first book in Warped, takes place around the same time, just slightly after Three Mages, and then the books are going to catch up in the timeline until they actually surpass Demonized and Spellbound.
And what about character crossovers? Are we going to see some of those?
Yes, there are going to be character crossovers as well. It will vary from book to book, but you're definitely going to get some cameos from certain characters and some larger roles from other characters at various points as well. So how did we come up with Kit and Leanna as the main characters?
Yeah, so when you guys pitched me the idea, the template for the characters was kind of already there, that they were going to be young MPD agents. There's going to be a male and a female protagonist. They're both going to be kind of rookie agents. It was going to have this buddy cop vibe. All that was what you pitched me. And then we did some more specifics. We kind of worked them out. I pitched you guys actually a couple different versions of what those characters could look like. And we really kind of got Kit and Leanna built based on the magic that we decided on for them. So when I came across this cool type of magic that I wanted to use for Kit and I pitched it to you, you thought that was really cool. And a lot of Kit's character was built on this kind of unique and interesting magic style that we found for him.
And Kit's character, I think once we had that magic ability picked out, his character just really came together. And he kind of went from an idea of a character to like a fully fledged person who could practically walk off the page and really, really quickly. That was very exciting.
Yeah, and the same kind of thing happened with Leanna when we decided she was going to be an abjuration sorceress, which I think a lot of the readers will probably know from the references in other books about her. And we developed a lot of her character based on that kind of magic, because it's a really high level of magic for her to know, which is super cool. And so I think a lot of her character kind of was built on the idea of her being an abjuration sorceress. So the next question is extremely important, Annette. Will there be romance?
Of course there will be romance. This is This is me. I have my hands in this book. There's just no way that there would not be romance. It's not necessarily going to be exactly the same kind of romance as you've seen before, but definitely be there.
Yeah, obviously. Definitely.
So, will Warped have different character POVs?
Nope, just Kit all the time. So what was your favorite moment of co-author synergy? Synergy. Sounds like you and I do yoga together or something, which isn't true. We've never done that.
No. But for creative synergy, I can't really think of any particular moment. But one of my favorite things about co-authoring is when I'll go to Rob with an idea, and I'd be like, isn't this a cool idea? And then you're like, yeah, that's a cool idea, but wouldn't this be even cooler? And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's even better. And now I have another idea to go with that one. And then we just build off of each other's ideas and end up with even more fun, crazy stuff than I could have ever thought of by myself.
Yeah, it's awesome. So much synergy.
So what is our biggest disagreement?
Disagreement. We haven't had too many like major plot disagreements or anything crazy about characters or anything like that. I think the biggest disagreement, the biggest sticking point for us was probably the title of the first book. Because there was one title I really liked, and you and Jake were not having it. And eventually we landed on the Warping Minds and Other Misdemeanors, which we both like. It's a pretty cool title, I think. I think it works. So we figured it out. The only other time that we really have disagreed, maybe, on anything is when I really want a really ridiculous joke in the book, and you and Jake are like, no, we can't put that in there. And then I go away and sulk for a little bit, and then I'm over it and I'm fine.
Yeah, for titles, if we had been able to decide on a title sooner, we would have announced it sooner. That's one of the reasons it was a little late. Like, I announced the Warp series, but the book didn't have a title. That's because, we hadn't quite decided on one yet. But we're good now. We got it figured out.
Yeah, it took us so long. And speaking of titles, we're going to have some more books. We're going to have to figure out more titles. Classic segue. Annette, how many books are there going to be in Warped?
Well, there's going to be one, and then there'll be two, and then there'll be three, and eventually four, and possibly more. We'll see.
And can you tell me what the release schedule is going to be? Because I really want to know what that is.
Well, that's a secret, Rob. I don't think I can tell you. No, that's okay. So the first book is coming out in August, as everybody knows already. The second one will be in November. So for those of you who've memorized the release schedule, that is a book in July, August, September, October, and November.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, we may or may not survive it, but we're going to do our best. And then after that, we'll be looking at the third Warped book in January, and then the fourth probably in April-ish. We will see. Yeah, April-ish.
Ish. Yeah, that'll probably depend on if we update our system from carrier pigeons to eagles or beyond.
Yeah, it'll depend on the eagle training or...
like get an albatross. Or the internet.
Will there be audiobooks for Warped?
Yep, there definitely will be. Unfortunately, we will not be able to use everyone's favorite narrator, Chris. As awesome as she is, the main problem being that Kit, who's the narrator of Warped, is a dude, and she is not. So we'll have to find somebody new, and hopefully equally as awesome.
So some people asked if it was necessary to give Rob a crash course in the Guild Codex universe in order to co-author Warped. And yes, it definitely was. So Rob, what was that like?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was necessarily a crash because it took a lot longer than a crash. So if anything, it was like one of those really long extended train accident that goes on for like miles and miles, and there's just like mess everywhere. Because I feel like the crash course hasn't even ended yet. I'm still learning stuff. I still send Annette messages all the time asking her questions that range from specifics on like an arcana spell all the way to things like, hey, do Fae eat? And if so, do they like cheeseburgers? Chicken fingers? Are there Fae? What's their deal? So we haven't figured that out yet.
That's actually never come up in the books, has it? But we did debate if Fae were actually plants, like demons, because sunlight, living off of sunlight. But we decided that that didn't quite work for Fae. So, but it'll come up in the books eventually. Rob, is this your first book? And how did you start writing?
Yeah, this is my first published novel. I've been writing for a long, long time. I wrote growing up, as many people do. And then I got more into like acting and stuff like that for quite a while. And got back into writing. I went and did my master's in creative writing out in New Brunswick for a couple years. And while I was there, I had some short stories published in a few magazines and some online things. And during that time, I wrote a thesis, which was a novel that will never see the light of day, probably in its current form. And then right after that, I sort of got back into film acting, but also a lot of screenwriting. So I wasn't writing a lot of fiction, a lot of prose stuff. I was writing screenplays, which is what I did a lot of with Jacob. Him and I made some short films and even a feature. And so that was what my writing was focused on for a while. And it's still something I do a lot of when I'm not working on Warp. I still do a lot of screenwriting and still make some short films and stuff like that. So Warped One, so Warping Minds is my first published novel. Yeah. So one of the questions we have is, how long did it take you to write your first book compared to your most recent book?
My first book. So I wrote my first book when I was 18, I think. And I think it took me about a year. But that's because it was my first book and I didn't really know what I was doing and I didn't have any kind of outline and only like a really vague plan. So it was full of a lot of like monologuing and long descriptions and pointless side quests. And yeah, that book also will never see the light of day. Nowadays, I write quite a bit faster, but I'm also a full-time author now, so I have more time. But yeah, I would say writing it's more counted. I would count it in weeks instead of months or years. And the whole publishing process for one book. So writing, revisions, editing, proofreading, all of that, 3 to 6 months, depending on the book and how long it is and how complicated it was.
Yeah, so you've definitely sped things up.
So Rob, who are you shipping in the Spellbound series? And do you have a favorite character? And do you know how the Guild Codex series, the Spellbound and Demonized, are going to end?
Okay, well, I think I'm going to answer those questions in reverse order. So I do have a rough idea of how Spellbound and Demonized are going to end. I have to know some of these details for my own writing in Warped, but there is still a lot I do not know, and I will be discovering all that along with the rest of you when she publishes them. So I'm very excited, very looking forward to that. As for favorite characters, I don't know if I have like a specific favorite. I like all the characters that you're supposed to like, and even probably some of the ones you're not supposed to like. I do have a soft spot for Ezra. So even from book 1, I was like, Tori and Ezra. Yeah, that's definitely who I'm shipping.
No comment.
Yeah, Team Ezra all the way. So when Demonized ends, is it really going to end? And is Spellbound 8 the last Spellbound book?
So you guys like to ask like spoilery questions that I really can't answer.
Yes, shame on you, spoilery questions.
I will say that the 4th book in Demonized is the last book in Demonized, and the 8th book in Spellbound is the last book in Spellbound. And that will be the conclusion of those story arcs. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're never going to see any of the characters again. But that's all I'm going to say about that for now.
Mysterious as always, Annette Marie.
Don't want to spoil anything. It has nothing to do with me enjoying watching everyone panic. It's nothing to do with it at all.
You are a sadist.
What inspires you to keep writing if you get stuck? And is it easier to break out of writer's block with a co-author?
Things that help me get over writer's block, basically. So a good writing playlist is really important. Copious quantities of caffeine. The odd bit of alcohol doesn't hurt. If I want to get all Ernest Hemingway, which does not happen very often. And co-authoring definitely can help that by having somebody to talk through ideas. Even just the people in my life, sometimes I turn to and ask them to help me with things. Talk through an idea, even if they have no idea what's going on in a story. Sometimes it's just good to talk things out. But Annette's really good for that too, because she understands the magic in the world so well. So bouncing ideas off of her and asking her to help when I get stuck is very, very valuable. And also her and Jake crack the whip. So if I'm stuck, they're just like, hey, bud, you got a deadline, so get to it. And I'm like, oh, okay, back to work I go. And that's a great motivator. Mm-hmm.
Rob and I are both scared of Jacob because he's the one reminding us.
Okay, Annette, do you want to see your series get turned into a TV show or a movie?
I would absolutely love that. I think that might be every author's dream, is to see one of their stories get turned into a TV show or a movie. But yeah, I think every author wants that. But it's not something that I can just make happen or do myself. I don't have a spare $10 million or, well, for Guild Codex and all the magic and stuff, like $100 million for like a full-blown movie, all the special effects and, you know, A-list actors, because we don't want to do like made-for-TV movie type thing. So yeah, I would love to see that. But at this point, it's not something that I can just do myself. Probably not something I can ever just do myself.
I was just thinking how meta it would be if Guild Codex was turned into a movie that Kit could then reference in a warped book. Be very Deadpool.
So, if I'm the vampire, because I am the pale one who stays up all night and sleeps during the day, what are you, Rob? What's your supernatural classification?
Okay, serious science question. Yeah, I did a little research on this. Referenced some very esteemed journals, some peer-reviewed studies, and turns out I am a rare bald werewolf. So the main difference is that instead of turning into a bloodthirsty beast at a full moon, I turn into just a very grumpy man if I am woken up too early.
I relate to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you give us some cover updates?
Book covers.
Those sweet, sweet book covers that we all love so very much.
The book covers. So Lost Talismans and a Tequila is just about done. It's just about ready to go. So you guys can be keeping an eye out for that to be happening really soon, the cover reveal. The other covers are still in progress, but we do have a Warping Minds cover underway. So that will be the next one to get revealed. Hopefully pretty soon. Hopefully in the next 4 or 5 weeks. I don't know. We'll see.
Awesome. I am super excited for that. So, are you going to be writing a novella for any of the four main characters that you have? Are you going to be writing any of the new series? Is Warped going to be the final series in Guild Codex, or are we finally going to see a Darius series? Maybe a Zack series?
Oh my, well, as you mentioned, I like to be mysterious, so I can't really specifically answer that question, but I can say, maybe there's something else in the pipeline. We'll see. I'm not committing to anything at this point. For novellas are more if I have a story to tell specifically about the characters that doesn't fit into the main series, then that's something that I'll do. But at this point, I don't really have any plans, but that doesn't mean that won't change. But yeah, will Warped be the final series in the Guild Codex world? We'll see.
Mysterious as always.
Well, Rob, I think that's basically all of the questions. We tried to cover everything that everyone asked. There were some pretty specific publishing questions, like very technical ones that we didn't cover here because that's really going into detail and that would put a lot of people to sleep immediately. And but I think we covered everything else. If you have any other questions that you really wanted answered that we didn't get to in this video, you could leave a comment. Other than that,
yeah, I think that's it.
All right, we're both super excited for Warped, and I think we'll be sharing at least a snippet of the first chapter, I think, in my next newsletter, which will be going out within a week. Say within a week.
Oh my goodness.
Are you excited, Rob?
Super excited.
All right, I think that's a wrap.
Cool.